What is up, enthusiasts? It's Cedar Flags here, and welcome back to another one of my videos. Today we are going to be talking about one of my favorite parks when it comes to coaster collection, Six Flags Great America. While it has its flaws, Six Flags Great America near Chicago and Gurnee is a very well-rounded park. It has some pretty nice theming, especially in the Southwest Territory area, and it has one of the best coaster collections in the United States. So strap in, and today I will be ranking the roller coasters at Six Flags Great America. Starting off the top 10, we have the Demon. This is the old classic aerodynamics looper at the park, and I am a huge fan of this ride. I know some people don't like it, but let me explain. I think without the theming, this would easily be out of the top 10, but with the theming, it just has a great aesthetic to it, that old classic horror feel of the devil, and it is just great. I absolutely love the tunnel to hell in the middle of the ride. That is such a good fit, and it honestly feels like I'm in some sort of cartoon. It's cheesy, but it's fun. I love the soundtrack to this ride, and the ride itself is a great layout. It is pretty smooth with the exception of the first corkscrew, but as long as you brace for that element, I think you'll be fine. Coming in at the number 9 spot, we have the first of 4 B&Ms located at this park. It is X-Flight, and I love myself some X-Flight. Though this is the least out of the 4 B&M wings that I've been on in the country, I do have to say I still really enjoy this ride. Besides a few problems like the tight restraints, I think this is a great fit for Great America. That wing over drop takes my breath away every single time, and the hang time you get on this ride is unheard of. Every inversion gives some sort of it, and I have to say this ride does not have enough despite it having a bunch. Especially that near miss through the air traffic control tower, I absolutely love that element, and it's got to be one of my favorite inversions of all time. Absolutely love X-Flight, such a good ride. Now, the number 8 spot might be a little unpopular because this ride gets a mixed bag of reviews all across the Six Flags chain. It is the Joker. Now, I love this ride. I love these S&S free spins because they are just so fun. Now, the Joker at Great America is such a mixed bag. You could either just have a nice, gentle ride with barely any flipping at all, or you could have a ride where you are flipping like crazy. It is such a mixed bag, and that is why you gotta ride this over and over and over again. There was a ride I got where on the second drop, I was upside down, getting the most insane hang time of my life. And the blood rushed to my head. This ride is just insane. I love it, and every time I see one of these, I got to get on one. Coming at the number 7 spot, we have the second B&M to make this list, and it is so close to the number 6 spot, but I decided to put it at number 7. It is Superman Ultimate Flight. Another clone, I know, but I think this is still a very great ride, especially if you sit in the back row. What do I have to say that hasn't been said already? That pretzel loop is unheard of. You get some crazy G-forces, and it feels like you're tied to an anchor going to the bottom of the ocean. It is insane. You feel like you are getting dragged down. And the rest of the layout is super fun. Put your hands out, enjoy it. I think second halves of B&M flyers, like the Superman clones, get a lot of hate because despite there not being a lot of forces, it is so fun just to put your arms out and have a great time flying like Superman. The third B&M to make this list at the number 6 spot is Batman the Ride. This is the original B&M inverted coaster, and it has a lot of historical value to it. To think that this ride came out the same year as a ride like Vortex at California's Great America, now Patriot. And that ride gets so many negative reviews, but this ride is one of the best out there. This ride rips through its layout, especially on a good day. My friend and I were just absolutely amused on how fast it was going the day we went. And sitting in the back row, your legs felt like absolute jelly by the end of it. Such a great ride, but if I were to change something, it would be that tunnel before the station, because on a 90-degree day, that is absolute torture. Beginning the number 5 spot, last year and this year, I have started to have a newfound love for older wooden coasters, or at least wooden coasters that are retro. I'm talking about American Eagle. One of the most overhated rides I have ever been on in my entire life. Now, the ride that I got in 2021 was a lot better than the one in 2022 because of trims. I still genuinely enjoy this ride. It has a lot of great negative forces, and the ride is super long, plus that helix that everyone wants torn out. I absolutely love the anticipation. This is just an overall fun ride for the family, and though it looks intimidating, is a rather tame ride, so the whole family could enjoy it and experience some good old school Intamin positive G's and negative G's. Now, this whole top 4 is controversial, let me just say that before I get into it, but the top 3 is mainly controversial, but the number 4 spot might be a little shocking, because number 4 is Viper. Yes, I know some people like Airtime Thrills absolutely adore it, and I have to say, I think I fall into that category. Viper is a top 40 coaster for me, and I prefer it over coasters like Mystic Timbers and the Voyage, just because the airtime is so forceful, the ride is so smooth if you sit in the front, and this is overall just a fun, forceful, and long layout. It reminds me a lot like Twister at Knoebels or Raven at Holiday World. This is such a good ride, and I feel like it does not get anywhere near the love it deserves. Ride it in the front row, experience some good forces, including an intense airtime moment on the second camelback, and you will have a fun experience. Speaking of wooden coasters, we are going right to Goliath at our number 3 spot. I know this is normally in the number 1 spot, and in 2021, this was securely my number 1. But things have changed, and in my 2022 visit, I was slightly let down. The ride was a little rougher than I remembered, and a little less forceful, but that still does not take away from how fun this ride is. But that speed hill at the bottom, the inversions including the dive loop and the stall, are near perfect, and some of my favorite inversions on any coaster ever. All of these inversions just pop perfectly, and every single one of them are just so fun. This ride is great, and I think is a great fit for a park of this size. Though if it did have a third lap, it would probably be a lot better. Now, getting into the top 2. My number 2 here at the park is Max Force, and I love this ride. If you don't know, this is an S&S air compressed launch coaster, and I love every single part about this ride. That first launch has got to be my favorite operating element in the world. I absolutely love compressed launches so much. I don't know what I would like more, this or Dragster's launch, but Dragster right now is a statue, so we're not going to talk about that. Anyways, this launch is so intense, it takes your breath away every time, and even the most veteran of enthusiasts will have an adrenaline rush like no other during that first launch, especially if you sit in the front and put your hands up. Sorry guys. Anyways, the rest of the ride is nothing to sleep over either. You have some great hang time on the elements, especially that final Max Force dive loop, and even though this ride is over quickly, it goes out with an absolute bang. Absolutely love this ride and cannot recommend it anymore. And finally, getting into the number 1 spot, what do we have left? The final B&M at the park and the final coaster overall, Raging Bull. I like this ride more than most people. This ride just brings B&M to a whole new level. And I think the positive G's at the end mixed with the negative G's at the beginning put this ride over Fury 325 in my rankings. Let's go through the layout. You start off with that amazing first drop, and if you sit in the back, you will be thrown out of your seat until the bottom of it. And then the elements, like the high to the ground turns, though are not as forceful. The second half of the ride from the mid-course on is crazy. You go off that like it's the first drop, and you get some great floater to ejector airtime moments, mixed with some of the craziest positive forces you have ever felt on a B&M. It's honestly on par with Batman the Ride. The ride is extremely long, and the ride has a great and creative layout compared to other B&Ms. I have found a newfound love for this ride, and I have to say, it's going to be very hard for B&M to make a coaster better than this. Anyways, what do you think about Six Flags Great America? Where do you think that the ride rankings should go in your opinion? And what do you think about my opinion? Keep it peaceful in the comments, guys. Anyways, this is Cedar Flags, and I will see you all later.